All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. Today's date is July the 8th of 2025. Could you start off by stating your name?
Yes, Nathan Collier.
Perfect. And where were you born?
I was born in Abilene, Texas.
Awesome. And who are your parents?
My parents are Hubert Collier and Gail Collier.
And what was their occupations?
Hubert Collier is a hydrogeologist. He was a professor for many years when I was a little kid. He taught at Abilene Christian University and then later here at Tarleton State University. That's what brought our family to Stephenville. In 1998, my mom and my dad decided to leave being a professor and start his own consulting business. And my mom, who's a registered dietitian with a master's degree in dietetics, they started the business, started a company called Collier Consulting. It's a hydrogeological firm and does some water resource engineering. They running that company along with myself and my older brother since 1998, and we've grown into a national company with offices from California to Boston, headquartered here in Stephenville, Texas.
Incredible. What primary and secondary schools did you attend?
My primary school, after graduating Stephenville High School, graduate here locally at Stephenville High School. Got a great opportunity. It found me. I went to the United States Military Academy at West Point and did my 4 years there, undergraduate in engineering management. And later on, during my active duty Army career, I got a master's in business administration from Webster University.
Wow. You mentioned talking about how you had worked with your parents in the family business. Did you have any other occupations prior to going to West Point?
No, I mean, in Texas, Stephenville High School football was the occupation. Football consumed my life, and it was a full-time job. Played for the Yellow Jackets as an offensive lineman, and that took up all my free time.
Perfect.
Which was the reason I went to West Point. I was recruited for football. I was not, coming out of high school, wasn't looking for the military at all. Wasn't considering Army, Navy, Marines, any of that. West Point reached out to me and recruited me to play football there. So that was the conduit which got me into this whole military career to begin with, was football.
Did you have any other offers?
I did. The ones I was mostly considering, Rice University. I was really interested in Rice, and then also Harvard in Boston. Those were my top of the list. I really enjoyed football, but I didn't want to sacrifice my education along the way. I knew that there was life after football, so I needed to get a good education for the rest of my career.
Absolutely. So what made you go from I want a good education and not go to Harvard, and what made you choose West Point?
West Point is, any of the Ivy Leagues are great. The military academies are their own league. And while you're there, you're graded on every aspect of your life. It is completely holistic experience. You're graded not just academically, you're graded physically, and you're graded militarily. You don't get that full immersive experience even at the Ivy Leagues. I always tell people that the academies are the only universities that hire 100% of their graduates. And by that I mean all of the Air Force graduates, they're future Air Force officers. All of the Army graduates are future Army officers. So they are 100% invested in you, because you're the future of their profession.
What type of specific training or schooling did you receive?
After graduation from West Point, I did get some schools while I was there. I attended Air Assault School, which is use of helicopters, how you can attach equipment, sling load equipment underneath helicopters and rappel out of helicopters. Later on, I went through several schools. I was artillery officer, so I went through multiple artillery schools. I went through airborne school, so how to jump out of perfectly good aircraft with a good parachute. Another one, Pathfinder. Pathfinder is being kind of a reconnaissance team to go in and look for landing zones and look for drop zones with the use of either helicopters or airplanes. So when there's really little unknown about the area. Pathfinders kind of go in and help guide the way for more people and equipment to get into those areas. I went through the first jungle school in Hawaii, which was later on in my career. Really proud of that. The jungle program was something the Army did a lot in the 70s and 80s. We got away from it for over 20 years with the global war on terrorism. And I just happened to be in Hawaii when they stood up the jungle school, and I was the first class to go through that school back in 2014, 2015, and was really proud of that.
How do you feel like that advanced you as, one person or even just your team throughout the military?
What the military does, regardless of what school you go to and what your experience is, the common theme is that it teaches you that you are capable of more than you believe. That you can push your body, that you can push yourself mentally a lot more and a lot further than you think possible. You are more capable than we let ourselves believe. And that's what the military teaches. So those schools just continue to build that confidence that I can do more, that I can achieve more, that I have the self-discipline to make it happen. And I think that's the biggest takeaway.
Of course. And you had mentioned, we stepped away from jungle training for 20 years. I'm assuming because we were fighting almost in what people call the sandbox. Why would they start bringing back jungle training? What do you feel like was maybe the reason that drove them to try to diversify your training?
The old things become new again. The military has been that way. We have had units that focus on the Arctic. We've had units that focus on the Pacific and jungles. We've had units that focus on the desert. We've had this kind of regional specification. We just got really tunnel vision during the global war on terrorism. So we were kind of getting back to old things. The 25th Infantry Division out there in the Pacific was getting back to focusing on the Pacific and largely kind of that jungle environment. They are the experts now for our military in jungle warfare. So it's just kind of a swing of what's old is new again.
Can you recall a leader or just a particularly funny incident throughout any of your schooling, training, or time abroad?
There's a lot of fun times in the Army. It's the whole adage of you work hard and you play hard. We're specifically talking about the jungle school. I was the battery commander or company commander for that unit, so I designed part of that training towards the end. We literally went in and cut down jungle and built what we call fire bases, where we cut down the jungle and implemented or put in our artillery pieces in these kind of barricaded positions to keep them safe in the jungle. And I purposely made it a really slow week where they were up almost 24/7, rotating soldiers to keep themselves safe. There was almost no enemy activity. It was very monotonous. They were running low on sleep, they were running low on food. But as the week progressed, the enemy situation got more intense. And then at the end of the week, they got into a real large firefight. But it didn't start till the wee hours of the morning, towards the end of the week, with little sleep and little food. And that platoon leader, in the middle of the night, we played this kind of Celtic chant to kind of start off the battle. And after it all ended and we're at the after action review, the lieutenant came up to me and goes, "Sir, I heard this music in the middle of the night." And I walked over to my platoon sergeant and said, "Is it just me or do you hear that?" He didn't know if he was hallucinating it or not. So that was a funny moment, just being on low sleep and low food. There's a lot of other great ones too. When I deployed both to Iraq and Afghanistan, I'm really tall, I'm 6'6", and Iraqis and Afghanis are really short people. So everywhere I go, I got a lot of pictures taken with me with locals and stuff. So it's always funny, the jokes and stuff, even with that culture barrier. It was always fun to be entertained, to entertain the locals.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Where was your first duty station after you graduated West Point?
Yeah, so I graduated in 2007. Backing up for a minute, 9/11 happened my junior year. That's the year that you apply to the military academies. So my class was the first class to apply in a post 9/11 world. The towers came down September of my junior year, so just at the beginning, and that's the year you start the applications process. So we knew going into West Point that we were entering the global war on terrorism, that being deployed to combat was 100% reality the whole 4 years we were there. We knew what we were there for, and we knew the environment we were in. So it was really special for our class to know we were going to be deployed to combat. So got there in 2003, graduated in 2007. And after my officer training, my first duty station was in Germany, was in Grafenwehr, Germany. Wasn't there very long at all. Showed up, I jokingly say I dropped my bags off and I dropped my wife off and I hopped on a plane and left for Iraq. I was in Germany 6 weeks and was on my first deployment to Iraq.
What was that like, getting to Germany and then dropping your wife off and going on deployment? She's in a new country. Mm-hmm. What was that like, do you think, for her and you?
You can't overstate the support you need from a great Army spouse. They keep the home front going while you're gone. They are there to support you physically, emotionally. Having that partner to do that journey with allows me and the other men and women to do what we do. So I can't give enough props and enough credit to the Army spouses out there and the military spouses for what they do every day. It was hard for her, but we were young and married and we made it work. I had been training for 4 years to be at that position, to be that platoon leader. I was ready. You don't know the environment. You don't know the specifics of what you're walking into, but you have these fundamentals that you can apply and adapt. And that's what they teach you, is how to think through problems, how to come up with solutions, how to lead men and women. And you can apply that to whatever country we're deployed to. And so I was ready for it, and we had a good, successful deployment.
Absolutely. What was it like being so young, going abroad, and, not knowing what the war was going to end up being?
Mm-hmm. I mean, being young, really since the age of 22, I've been leading men and women that are oftentimes, most of the time, older than me. So back to those fundamentals, it takes those fundamentals to be ready for it. I was deployed to Diyala province, Iraq, which is right on the border of Iran. They were flowing weapons and munitions from Iran into Iraq to help kind of fuel the insurgency. And terrorists were using the area that we were deployed to as kind of a layover spot out in the countryside to move men and equipment into Iraq. So we were sent out to go take care of that, to help clear all that out. It was a rural area, which was gave us the advantage. They weren't able to hide amongst the urban environment. And so over 6 months, we just slowly and methodically cleared land, pushed out terrorists, and restored it back to villages that people in the population could move back into. There's a kind of a saying during the global war on terrorism. We called it clear, build, hold. That was kind of oversimplification of what our plan was. We need to clear out terrorists. We needed to build back communities and hold it and provide that stability so that kids could go to school, people could have jobs, like return to normalcy. In a lot of areas, we were trying to do this over 20 years and continued to struggle with the clear and the build portion. It was kind of cool that in my 1-year deployment, we were able to do that in a very small little patch of ground in rural Iraq. But we were able to clear, build, and hold all within a short time frame. So it was rewarding, I think, to kind of see that kind of from start to finish in a short amount of time.
Absolutely. And what is the difference between the American education and the education y'all were trying to build in rural Iraq?
So we didn't really necessarily influence the education. What we were trying to do was allow a stable environment for them to restore their own city governments and their own public projects and start their own schools. We absolutely helped funded some of these projects to help get them going, but it is hard to take our Western ideas about how things should be run and try to force them on other governments. You really got to let those people decide what they want for their towns and for their cities and what they want for their government. And so I think that's what we tried to do, was to allow them to be the best versions of themselves.
I think I wrongly stated the question. What is just the differences between like American education and how the Iraqi education system was? What's differences in practices? Did you notice any?
No, I don't really have a great pulse on the education system holistically, though, not just from my time in Iraq, but from my time in Afghanistan. And I've been very fortunate to do a lot of other traveling around the world with the Army. When it comes to education, when it comes to public works, when it comes to opportunities for careers and upward mobility, America truly is the greatest country in the world. They worry about stable power in their village. They may only get 2 to 3 hours a day of electricity. Their water isn't the cleanest. And this is not just Iraq, this is lots of countries around the world. Education or availability of education maybe miles away, where you're having to carpool kids just to get there. What we have here in the accessibility of goods and services we have here in the United States is unmatched. This really is a land of tremendous opportunity. And I think a lot of times Americans don't have a good sense of just how good we have it here.
Absolutely. What was the hardest part about entering the military? You went to West Point knowing that you were going to go straight to this war, knowing you were going to be deployed. What do you think was the hardest part about all that for you?
Some of the lowest points, honestly, were losing friends. During my time at West Point, we had upperclassmen that graduated, and 18 months later, we were having their funeral back at West Point. One of my good friends, there's 3 brothers, Joel Eads, Jonathan Eads, and Josh Eads. Jonathan, the middle brother, he was killed. And I was the second to be notified after his younger brother was notified there at school. And I had to walk the halls at West Point and go tell some of our other friends that Jonathan had been killed. So the reality of what we were doing was real. When you had friends graduate and you're excited and celebrate that graduation, and a year and a half later, you're burying them back at that same school. It was some very humbling times. It was hard times. But you knew what you were there for. We all believed in the same mission, to protect America, to protect American men and women, take the problems, to address the problems abroad so that they don't come here to our shores. So there was a lot of hard challenges and realities that we faced, but we truly believed in what we were doing.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing about that tough time. I know it's not easy. So how many tours of duty did you do?
I did 2 combat tours while on active duty. The first was to Iraq, to Diyala province. I came back to Germany for about 18 months, and then I turned around with the same brigade and went right back to Afghanistan, in Paktika province, Afghanistan, for my second combat tour.
Okay. Were there any memorable incidents that you would like to share?
There's a lot of good ones. As a cadet, you're this new kid who's trying to figure everything out. Growing up, I did Boy Scouts. I was an Eagle Scout. And I remember being in basic training, and we're all brand new to the military. And I remember talking with some of my classmates who had never camped out before, who had never spent a night in the woods. I remember friends we were going to the rifle range, and they were saying, this is the first time I've ever shot a rifle. And I'm like, you joined the military and you've never camped out before, you've never shot a rifle, and these are things I just grew up doing in Texas, doing compass courses and things, and I did that as a Boy Scout, not knowing that I was going to end up doing the military at some point. So just those were funny memories of some of my friends who were so green coming in. There were some great training stories. I remember one in particular where it was pouring rain, and we had very little sleep, and we're huddled around the machine gun in this patrol base, and we're taking turns of one staying up and the rest getting some sleep. And nobody's really getting sleep because it's just pouring rain so much. And this is a training event, and I wake up and I'm laying there on my back, and I see this lane walker who's kind of grading us and watching us. He's reaching down to grab our machine gun. And I reach up over my head and grab the machine gun, the ammo belt, and he pulls it and rips the belt and walks off with our machine gun. So we all knew we were in trouble. It wasn't my turn, it was my friend's turn to be on the machine gun. I just happened to be the one to wake up. And then after that, it was my turn, and they brought it back to us, they yelled at us, and then I just stood there, which you're supposed to be down in the prone, kind of low profile so the enemy doesn't see you. And I was so mad, I just stood there by the machine gun with the rain pouring on me. And that lane walker walked back over and was like, are you gonna get down in the prone? And I just stared at him and was like, no, not doing it. He walked away. So that was a low point, but also kind of funny looking back on it. I remember times on my deployments, it was hard times. We were doing a lot of patrolling, a lot of late nights, a lot of high op tempo. But I remember some quiet moments in the evenings. We would all get together kind of at these outdoor tables, smoke cigars, and just try to solve all the world's problems each night, and just getting close and getting to know each other. Those are really good memories with some really great Americans and really great friends. And then my wife and I got to do a lot of some fantastic travels. I was stationed in Germany and got to travel a lot of Europe. Later on, I was stationed out in the Pacific in Hawaii and got to travel a lot of the Pacific. So the Army's been very blessed to get to see a lot of the world, a lot of the continents. I've been to every continent except for Antarctica. So it's been a lot of fun and rewarding in that way.
Absolutely. Where would you say was your favorite to get to go visit throughout your time?
I always tell people there are a couple places in Western Europe, like Rome, and London, that have so much history to them, you can't see it all in one time. One of the most surprising countries for me was Morocco. I thought Morocco was a really diverse country, and I really enjoyed the culture and the people, and a trip there. Chile in South America is a beautiful country. The southern half of Chile, I got to go there a couple times with the National Guard, which I'm still a part of. And Patagonia, the southern part of Chile, is just kind of untouched and beautiful. Patagonia really is an amazing part of the country, and I got to go all the way to the very southern tip of the continent, where you're really kind of across the strait from Antarctica, so the most southern point in the Western Hemisphere, and that land is just really amazingly beautiful.
Absolutely. Was there ever concerns around you traveling whenever you were in active duty?
When you've been on a couple of combat deployments, it takes a lot to get you on edge and to get you nervous. Also, if you've done a lot of traveling, you kind of know how to be a savvy traveler. A lot of Americans, they hear things like, oh, you're going to Budapest, or oh, you're traveling to Lithuania. Those countries sound kind of dangerous. I always say you could get into a lot more trouble in Chicago or New York City or Atlanta than you can in some of these other countries. And I say just don't be stumbling around at 2 a.m. in the morning in a neighborhood you don't belong in. If you're doing normal tourist things at normal tourist hours, you're probably going to be safe.
Can you talk about military procedure for going to foreign countries when you're active duty?
There is. So the Department of State has travel advisories for different countries. You'd be surprised that we really are allowed to travel to quite a few countries. There are a few that when we get back, you may have to get debriefed, questioned, but it's a pretty short list. And you make sure to register with the embassy when you go in and out of that country, so they know you're in country, and in case something happens, you're accounted for, and they know they need to account for you. But like I said, you'd be surprised. Just 2 years ago, actually, I took my wife and my 4 kids, and we traveled to Cuba for tourist reasons, and stayed in Old Havana and traveled around Cuba. And obviously, Cuba and America don't necessarily like each other that much, but like I said, you'd be surprised the availability we have to travel.
Absolutely. Did your wife ever get nervous traveling around with young children in Cuba?
Of course, my wife gets nervous, but I take care of them, and we had very few incidents, and the kids are good travelers too. We really want our kids to have that kind of global experience, to have a global perspective. That's important for us. It's tough to be in the Western Hemisphere. We kind of get in our little bubble, and had it not been for the military, I wouldn't have had those experiences, and so we're trying to pass that on to our kids.
Absolutely. Do you feel like when you were abroad in Germany, that was some of your fondest memories, or where do you feel like you had your fondest memories active duty?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. My time in Germany was when I was most active. I did my first deployment. I came back. I had 18 months to prep for the next deployment. We were going really hard. It was the global war on terrorism was our full focus. We were very tunnel visioned. It was some long hours every day at work. We worked extremely hard, but it's also some of my best memories. I was young and married with no kids, and anytime we had time off, we were throwing on our backpacks and traveling Europe, traveling Northern Africa, traveling into Turkey. We were seeing the world so in the truest sense, it was very much work hard, play hard. So at some of my hardest times professionally, also some of my favorite times personally.
What would you say is, as far as your time in active duty being deployed, what would you say is an event that you were most proudest of?
There's a lot of proud moments. I'm proud that I served both in Iraq and Afghanistan, did my part to further our mission in both of those, so I'm proud of that. From a training and leadership perspective, that jungle school was a mission I was really proud of. One, because it was a new school that we had not done in decades, but I was really given a lot of white space to create the training for my soldiers and do some things that we haven't done, and that really our Army had kind of lost that education in. So I was given weeks of time to go out to the jungle and really put my unit to the test, and I was really proud of what I was able to accomplish there. Coming to the National Guard, there's several things I've been proud of. I was activated really early during Hurricane Harvey and was there throughout the duration of that storm event down in Houston and throughout the Gulf, and spent a lot of long hours helping direct engineering assets to save fellow Texans. So there's several big events I'm really proud of.
Absolutely. What happened on the day that your active duty service ended?
I was completing my time in Hawaii. I was reaching the 8-year mark, and I was looking ahead in my career, and we were starting to have kids at the time as well. And did I want to move my family around every 3 years? Did I want my kids to not have a hometown? My wife is also from Stephenville, Texas. And so we were looking ahead to kind of what our family would look like in the military. And we decided at that point that as much as I loved it, it was the right thing for our family to move back to Texas. So we moved back to Stephenville, Texas, and I joined the family business, which I never would have thought I was going to join the family business. That was a surprise for both of us. And but we wouldn't have it any other way now. Been back 10 years. Our kids are growing and thriving here in Stephenville. They get so much FaceTime and so much interaction with both grandparents on her side and my side. They're around cousins. We have a great church with a lot of friends. So they're in the best environment for them. And I, being still in the National Guard, still get to run away, still get to put on the uniform, still get to do that leadership that I love doing. So it really is the best of both worlds, and we're extremely happy here. I get to work with family, get to be in that small town environment, but I still get to serve my country and still get to lead in uniform.
How did your family feel having both of you come back?
They were elated. We were gone for a total of 12 years before we moved back, and they were very glad to have us back home.
That's incredible. You mentioned you never thought you would join the family company. Would you elaborate on that?
It was a small business, very kind of mom and pop run. Me having an engineering degree, I always kind of thought Dallas-Fort Worth was, when I left the Army, that's where I would end up. Hour and a half, close by, but not, down the street. But I came back and with the efforts of my parents and my older brother, we've really grown the business into something that's been really fun. When I joined, it was about probably 15 people, and now we're nearly 80. So, and with, like I said, with offices in 7 different states across the nation, it's really been fun to grow the business, to do it with family, the people you love the most. And so, even though I never thought I was going to do that, I couldn't imagine it any other way now.
Absolutely. Do you feel like it was tough for you to readjust to civilian life?
It was. Coming back from combat deployments is a version of that. It does take time to adjust to being a civilian again, and to having social schedules and your wife. When you're in combat, you're really focused, and life in some ways simplifies a lot. You don't have birthday parties, you don't have dinners and get-togethers. It's just you wake up, you patrol, you come back, you hit the gym, get some food, and go to bed. It's really simple. It's a big adjustment period coming back from combat. Coming off of active duty military and coming back to Stephenville was also an adjustment. It was the weirdest thing. Being in a business and trying to get work and make money, you don't worry about making money and business deals and having staff members and employees worrying about pay raises and bonuses. Like in the military, we don't talk about that because it's all very structured through regulations. And so it was an adjustment to coming to more of a civilian life. Absolutely.
Did you ever use your GI Bill or Hazelwood for anything post-service?
No, I got my master's degree while I was still serving on the active duty through a program called tuition assistance, which paid for, like 80% of my education. I have 4 kids, 4 amazing kids, so I'm saving my GI Bill and my Hazelwood Act, and I've already transferred that to my kids, so they'll be set up for success when they get to that age.
Incredible. Have you maintained any friendships throughout your time since returning from active duty?
Oh yes, there's lots of friends. A lot of my football friends that I played football with at West Point, we still keep up with each other on chat and still dig at each other all the time on chat. Some are still in, some are out doing wide variety of business opportunities. But we have friends that are still active duty, and they're stationed in Europe, they're stationed in Korea, they're stationed here across bases in New York, or in the United States. And so you have friends all over the world. I have a good friend who's working at the embassy in Bulgaria. So you have friends all over the world right now. have a good friend that's just finished his doctorate from Stanford, and so you still keep up with each other, and funny to see where they all go and what they're all doing. They're all great Americans doing great things.
Absolutely. Being the travelers you are, do you have plans to go to Bulgaria to visit your friend?
I'd love to. We just did a trip to Hawaii earlier this year, and no plans right now, but I'd love to go see him.
You've mentioned that you have remained in the Guard.
Yes.
Can you elaborate a little bit more about what that looks like?
So I transferred off of active duty, and it was just hard for me. In my mind, I was thinking, I can't just I've been doing this too long, since high school. Army's been my full time. It's been too immersive. I can't just cold turkey quit the Army. So I transferred to the Guard, not knowing exactly what that would be or how that would fit in with my personal life and family life. But I wanted to try it. I wanted to give it an honest try. And it's been wonderful. I work here in Stephenville full time in the family business. And then, roughly speaking, like you see on the commercials, 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year, I run away to my home unit, which I'm currently stationed at Camp Mabry down in Austin. And I go do my Army training with my unit 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year, at a part-time status. So still putting on the uniform, still serving. I'm an engineer officer now. On active, I was field artillery. But since I'm a licensed engineer in Texas, transferred to the engineers, and I'm currently a battalion commander for a unit down at Camp Mabry in Austin.
Awesome. What do you think is the best part about being in the Guard for you? What do you feel like's been the most fulfilling part of that transfer?
Personally, what's really fulfilling is that I still get to do what I love, and that's leading men and women, serving our country. The service aspect for me is like just core to who I am. The military has just been so formative and has shaped my life in so many ways. And on the other hand, what's great about the Guard is that we deploy and we go protect America overseas. But on the other hand, we have this capability where we help protect citizens here at home. And whether that is wildfires, whether that is floods or hurricanes or COVID, the National Guard continues to step up and help keep our citizens safe, to help deliver food and water after these natural disasters, to help go rescue people when the flood events happen. The Guard is always there. And so it's fun being a part of that aspect, which wasn't really a part of active duty. It's Texans helping Texans, and that's what the Guard does.
Absolutely. Earlier you had mentioned Chile and how you like to go over there. Mm-hmm. Can you mention more about, that's through the Guard, correct?
Yes.
Can you talk about more about what the Guard's doing in Chile?
There is it's a program that not a lot of people know about, but I would say has huge strategic implications. Yes, we can deploy. Yes, we can help people here at home, like on the Texas border. We've had thousands of soldiers down there protecting the border. This other program is called the State Partnership Program, or SPP. All 50 states partner with countries around the world and just do these small engagements. They're not big, but it's just small engagements every year that build friendships, that build relationships that really endure and really kind of forge relationships between the U.S. and those countries. Texas is one of the largest National Guard units, us in California. Texas partners with 4 countries. That's the Czech Republic, Egypt, Chile, and the United Arab Emirates. Most states don't have 4, but Texas is, like I said, one of the largest. So we partner with those 4 countries. And every year we're doing these small engagements to really create those relationships and forge those bonds. And Chile's one of those. I'm an engineer, and we've been going down and working with Chile for years to help create roads to some of the far reaches of their country, they have really harsh terrain and don't have road access to their southern border, to some of their eastern borders, and they pay their military to build these roads instead of a civilian contractor. It's cheaper to make the Army do it. And we go down and partner with them. We're working with their equipment, living in their camps, side by side, hand in hand, helping them create infrastructure for their country.
Absolutely. And the strategic alliance with Chile, how do you feel has helped America? You know, we talk about the partnerships with foreign nations. How do you think that alliance has kind of impacted you and your love to travel?
Once again, it's great to see the countries too, but when you're down there working with them, you get a deeper sense of who they are, of their culture, of their community, of their views, and you learn that even though there's a language barrier, their love of their country and their service to their nation is the same as us. They're sacrificing and making the commitment to be in uniform and to be in their army, just like I am here. So you create these relationships that last, and we're still, with some of the officers down there, we're still Facebook friends and still keep up with each other. I see when they get promoted. I see when they're on vacation. So you really do get to make relationships, even though there's that language and culture gap. There's enough commonality in what you believe and what you stand for that you get those relationships. And once again, back to that strategic value, each of the 50 states and their National Guards are creating these relationships with other countries, and that adds a lot of strategic value that leaders in all of these other countries have friends back here stateside that they can pick up the phone and call if they need something.
Absolutely. Switching gears, have you joined any veteran organizations since leaving active duty?
Yes, been a part of the American Legion really since a young man. It was impressed on me the importance of those, not just from a personal perspective and getting to interact with other veterans of every generation, and that's incredibly rewarding. Back to that commonality of, like the officer in Chile. Whether you're a Vietnam veteran, Korean War veteran, Desert Storm, no matter how old you are, putting on that uniform and serving your country connects you to every other veteran. You have shared experiences. So the American Legion is a place where you get together and get to meet other people who have served. Beyond that, though, organizations like the VFW and American Legion are advocates on Capitol Hill for veteran benefits. And they're continuing to fight for better health care, for other benefits to help take care of veterans throughout their entire life. So it's good to be a member of those, to support them because of that lobbying capacity they have on Capitol Hill.
Absolutely. Do you feel that organizations for veterans, although they are important, do you feel like they're kind of dying in younger service personnel?
Yes, in short, those community-based organizations, whether it's Kiwanis Club, Optimus Club, American Legion, are dwindling. I would say demographics are shifting, and the youngers are looking for, my age is looking for something different. But there are some veteran organizations which are kind of answering that call and that are taking veteran engagement in a different way. A less formal way of kind of, like your Optimus Club meetings and stuff. So I think, yes, those organizations are having a hard time with memberships nationally.
There's so many options. What made you lean towards the Legion? Is it just that as a, younger person, you were around them? What made you choose to join the Legion?
It was a mentorship at a young age that it was impressed on me, the importance of that. Once again, the bigger collective. One, and then also very simplistically, that's all Stephenville has. Stephenville doesn't have a VFW. The nearest one is in Granbury. But very proud to be a part of it. And I think that just like the Boy Scouts of America, those are old, long-standing organizations that have a tremendous mission and vision and help their members. And I think just I'm a little bit of, I guess, a traditionalist, and I still believe in the Boy Scouts and still believe in the American Legion.
Are your kids a part of Boy Scouts?
They are. All three of my boys are Boy Scouts and doing very well.
That's good. Have you attended any reunions?
I have. I've attended 2 reunions at West Point, both for my 10-year and my 15-year. And you just bring back a lot of old memories, seeing a lot of great people. And reunions are very well attended at West Point because you start with that class and you end with that class. You don't transfer in as a junior or senior. Everyone starts as a freshman and has a full 4-year experience. So your relationships really are forged in the fire through that 4-year experience at West Point.
Absolutely. Do you feel like reunions are important for you?
Yes. Veterans are my favorite people. My West Point classmates are also some of my favorite people. And like I already said, we're scattered around the world, but every time we get back together, it's almost like we never, like we saw each other yesterday, and just pick it right back up where you are. So very much enjoyed the reunions I've attended.
In what ways do you feel like your military service has affected your life? I know we've talked about travel. We've talked about, you left after 8 years to pursue your family more. What do you feel like has been the biggest impact on your life?
It's hard to even find an area of my life that hasn't been affected by my military service. West Point and my service has literally affected every aspect of my life. I'm the person I am today because of that. It is my discipline and my drive. It is the organizational skills I have. It is the leadership skills to take men and women and bring them together as a team and encourage each of them to be the best versions of themselves, not for their own good, but for the good of the common collective. That I'm doing this, I'm digging in a little bit more, I'm giving a little bit of extra effort so that we're all successful together. I think that's what leadership is. It is making the most of a team for a larger common goal. And I love doing that. I love seeing people achieve more than they ever thought they could. And they're doing it not for themselves, but for other people. It's really rewarding to watch, and it's rewarding to see them indirectly grow from that experience.
Absolutely. Do you feel like those leadership qualities you just described have helped you to grow your family business into, like you said, a business that has offices from California to Boston?
Yes. Once again, it's my service has affected every aspect of my life, and professionally as well. It's given me the discipline to grow a business, to be successful a business owner. It's given me a perspective of a lot of things in life that sometimes some of the small things we get wrapped up about aren't as important, that there's bigger objectives, and to not get worried about the small things, to stay calm and collected during stressful times. It's given me a lot of qualities that I think have made me successful as a father, as a husband, as a citizen, and as a small business owner. No matter how bad your day is at work, at least you're not getting shot at.
That's one way to look at it. Do you feel like your service has impacted or changed your views on war? I mean, it has, because I've been there and I've done it.
I think war still is necessary. I don't think it's the first resort. I think diplomacy is important. I think the United States should always work to resolve things with diplomacy and deterrence. But if deterrence fails and if diplomacy fails, the United States is going to be ready with decisive action, whether that's from the Army or the Air Force, the Navy or Space Force, or Marines.
I was going to say they're not ready.
Yeah, we'll be ready. Our military will be ready. We have the greatest military in the world. And war shouldn't, military action shouldn't be the number one, but it is necessary. And we're the ones to do it. So has it changed my view of war? It's given me a more keen understanding of war and when necessary and when not necessary.
Absolutely. Is there anything that you want future generations to know about your military service?
Not about my military service. I want future generations to know that young men and women, your service to your country is incredibly important and will make you into a man or woman you never knew possible. There's a lot of kids that think about serving and they kind of hem-haw about it. Should I not? Step up and raise your hand. Put on the uniform. It will be something that you will forever be proud of, and you won't regret it. It'll make you into a better version of yourself. I'm extremely proud of my service, and I continue to do it. I encourage every man and woman who's capable to consider service, because it'll be one of the best decisions you'll ever make in your life.
Is there anything that you would like to add to your interview that we have not covered today?
I've really enjoyed my time in uniform. It's been a great career. It's almost 18 years. 18 years of serving my country. It's all I've known since high school. It's been a great ride. I'm still continuing to do it because I can't imagine myself not doing it. I go to Stephenville High School from time to time and talk to the kids there about military service and just service in general. I think it's important for all of us to serve outside of ourselves, to serve other people. I think service is an incredibly important part of our life. And I end with kind of a quote that I always tell the kids, and I tell them that some of the most important things you do in your life aren't the things you do for yourself. It's what you do for others. And I hope that people watching this understand that it's not about what we do for ourselves. It's about what we do for others.
That's a wonderful quote. What would you like for people to remember about your story?
I think like a lot of people that have either been interviewed or people that have served, there's really nothing special about me. Small town kid from Stephenville High School who just decided to say yes to an opportunity and to step out and to serve. And the willingness to serve has opened all these doors for me. There's really nothing special about me. I just had some opportunities come my way and was willing to take a chance, to get out of my comfort zone, to push myself a little bit further to see what I'm capable of. And that's gotten me to where I am today. I really credit a lot to the military for making me into the person I am and getting me to where I am today. So it's nothing special. It's just willing to step out and say yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to share about your time in the service with us today. And thank you for being so open about your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.